Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to What You Want. Thanks for logging on. Today, we go from diving with Richard Mille to basketball with LeBron James to motorsports, specifically Formula One with this IWC Ingenieur Chronograph Racer. 45 millimeters in diameter, stainless steel. This is a tribute model to the Mercedes-AMG Petronas team of reigning world champion of Formula One, Lewis Hamilton. Now, this is reference 3785-08 for those who are keeping score. So I'm going to go over the essential features of this watch, some of the special edition wrinkles that make it a bit different from the typical Ingenieur chronograph, and I'm going to do a wrist impression, just talk about how it looks and feels and fits. So let's start on the wrist, because that's where every watch review should start. Now you can see my wrist is 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, and the watch sits nicely. The bracelet is not in any way contributing to virtual size. There are some watches that have conforming bracelets and conforming straps that want to flare out and add virtual size to the watch, basically demanding a bigger wrist than would otherwise be necessary to wear it. In this case, I can pull them almost straight down. The lugs are very short, closely cropped. In fact, inspired by the almost cushioned case 1970s era Gerald Genta-designed Ingenieur Jumbo, the 1832 reference, this watch is almost a cushion case. If you squint and just look at the profile, it's almost a 1-to-1 aspect ratio side to side and top to bottom, so it distributes its mass very well. It's also dramatically well integrated. If you look at the symmetry of the case flanks on either side, and that's even including the crown guards and the pushers on the 3 o'clock side, the watch really does look very symmetrical, and as we know from nature, symmetry is generally considered to be a hallmark of elegance, and this IWC Ingenieur definitely has it. There is a certain sartorial versatility here. You could definitely wear this watch with a broad range of clothing, formal and informal, and because there's also a phenomenal amount of step down to the bezel and curvature to the crystal, it's likely that all but the tightest of cuffs and long sleeves could make it up and over the lip of that case flank. So the watch is stylistically, aesthetically quite versatile, handsome, subdued. It's got a nice combination of grayscale tones between the polish of the bezel, the matte and satin finished elements, as well as the slate gray of the dial, the black shocks of the subdials, and just a few accents of red to set it out. Now the bottom line with the way the watch looks is that it sort of splits the difference between a formal watch and a sports watch. And that's sort of IWC in microcosm. Though known for their sports watches, it can't be denied that the Da Vinci, the Portofino, and above all, the Portuguese are important parts of the company's catalog and its heritage, and it's almost like all those threads of sports watch and dress watch design kind of meet at a crossroads in the design of this Ingenieur chronograph. Now, some of the racing-specific tribute elements, and they are quite subtle, can be seen in the tachometer, on the bezel itself, and then the shock of red at 60, which was allegedly inspired by the dashboard modules. Actually, there is no dashboard, but the yoke, the steering yoke mounted modules in the Mercedes-AMG Petronas race car of Lewis Hamilton and his teammate Nico Rosberg. On the case back, there's another tribute element. In addition to being inscribed Racer, there is a small image of the Mercedes-AMG Formula One race car. Again, that's kind of just a little secret between you and your watch, and it's a nice subtle element. There's nothing that's explicitly motorsports inspired on the dial itself, which I like. There's a sporty look, there's a versatile look, but there's nothing that screams Mercedes-Benz AMG Petronas. There's no co-branding, and I think there is definitely a second school of thought. As much as some enjoy seeing co-branding, especially automotive and sports co-branding on the dials explicitly stated on commemorative editions, there are those who would prefer to have the option of playing it close to the vest. For instance, those who might be, I don't know, McLaren fans. McLaren fans, rest easy. You can still wear this watch in good conscience. And the bottom line is, besides the fit of the watch and the look of the watch and the sort of genesis of the watch through the association with the Mercedes team, there's a great deal of IWC manufacturer content within it. I want to talk a little bit about the features of the caliber 89361 Flyback Chronograph, because that's a major highlight here. It debuted in the mid-2000s, and this watch, which debuted in 2013, uses it to good effect. At 12 o'clock, there's a mono counter. Now, much like the Omega 9300 series and the Patek Philippe 5960, the monocounter tracks both the hours and minutes on a single dial so that you can keep the dial itself uncluttered and symmetrical. Now, chronograph seconds run at center, and then your constant seconds run at 6 o'clock. It's a way of keeping the dial relatively open, airy, and reducing the potential busyness of what's otherwise a very complicated, highly calibrated technical watch. The movement itself has a 68-hour power reserve. It is an in-house movement made by IWC. Flyback chronograph engaged by a combination of a column wheel function selector. I'm going to just activate the flyback so you can watch it right there. Watch the monocounter too as both hands reset. So column wheel actuation, it's very crisp. Also vertical clutch engagement means that and I'm going to stop it and start it conventionally here. Vertical clutch engagement means that the stop-start takes place without a jump of the hand. It doesn't stagger when you stop it, and when you reset it, it resets precisely to the index at 12 o'clock. That's refinement. That's what you expect from modern watchmaking, but what you expect from IWC is durability. With ceramic rotor bearings, the famed bidirectional Peloton pawl-based winding system, and of course a high degree of shock resistance, this watch is everything you would expect of IWC. Both functional as a machine and beautiful as elegant engineering, the IWC caliber 89361 Flyback chronograph is everything you would expect in a watch inspired by Formula One. Now, it's also a very versatile watch, not just in the sense that you can wear it with a wider range of attire, but in the sense that with 12 ATM water resistance, that's 120 meters, you can take this into the surf. And a bracelet is a great all-around companion to a watch designed to mix it up. There's also a beautiful trigger-actuated clasp, and I want to call it out because the degree of finish, the contrasting finish, brushed, polished, satin, inside engine turned with overlapping perlage patterns, really goes above and beyond what's expected in this price range, in this class of watch. This is a mid-priced luxury watch, not cheap by any means, but a lot of watches of this nature just feature a simple grained pattern, sandblasting, or a high polish. The multiple finishes, the thoughtful use of this unconventional perlage on an external element of the watch, and of course the solidity of this with a twin trigger release, that is exceptional. That's definitely punching above the weight of the class, and I applaud IWC for including this level of substance in the timepiece. Really adds value. More than that, there's a micro adjust system which, while it requires a watchmaker's tool to engage, permits the most minute increment. I'm going to try to show the increments within, but there's a very complex device here that allows incredibly precise, almost half-millimeter incremental adjustment of the bracelet to get the most precise fit possible. This is a very unusual setup, and I really haven't seen anything like it outside of the dive watch sphere, and then only because on a lot of those watches, they're trying to help you get a fit over a dive suit. To do it, to include both full-size links, to include fully removable links at every part of the bracelet, to include a half link at the end, and to include this micro-sizing device, really gives you an idea of just how thoroughly conceived this watch is, and how deeply IWC considers its designs. They have a heritage in engineering, and again, with the inspiration deriving from Formula One, maybe we should expect no less, but the bottom line is IWC offers tremendous value, Mercedes co-branding aside. See this outstanding IWC Ingenieur Chronograph Racer, 45mm in stainless steel, a tribute to the Mercedes-AMG Petronas team, but universally appealing, on our website, Watch You Want.